"You're very beautiful than those flowers," he said. The alien princess couldn't stop smiling. Captain Marcus Chen stepped off the transport shuttle and onto the crystalline surface of Velthara. The ground beneath his feet looked like solid glass, but it felt warm and alive. Strange music filled the air, not sounds, but colors that danced in the sky above him. He had studied the reports about this world, but seeing it with his own eyes was completely different. The Velthari homeworld was unlike anything Earth had ever discovered. Trees made of living crystal grew everywhere, their branches creating rainbow patterns as sunlight passed through them. Flowers that looked like precious gems swayed in the gentle breeze, and the air itself seemed to shimmer with soft light. Marcus adjusted his diplomatic uniform and checked his translation device one more time. This mission was important, maybe the most important of his career. Earth needed new allies and trading partners. The Velthari Empire controlled 3 star systems and had technology that could help humanity expand into space. But first, he had to prove that humans were worth talking to. The problem was that the Velthari did not speak with words like humans did. They talked with light. Their skin could glow in thousands of different colors and patterns. Each combination meant something different. A blue swirl might mean hello. A red flash could mean danger. A complex dance of gold and silver lights might be an entire conversation about politics or science. Marcus had spent months trying to learn their light language, but he was not very good at it. Humans could not make their skin glow. They had to use special devices that created light patterns, but it felt clumsy and awkward, like trying to write poetry with a broken pencil. A group of Velthari approached him from a nearby crystal building. They moved with grace, their tall, thin bodies swaying like plants in the wind. Their skin was pale green, like young leaves, and intricate patterns of silver light flickered across their arms and faces. Marcus recognized the formal greeting pattern and activated his light device to respond. His device flashed a simple blue pattern that meant "I'm honored to meet you." But something went wrong. Instead of blue, it flashed bright red, the color that meant "I challenge you to combat." The Velthari stepped back in alarm, their skin turning dark orange with shock. Sorry, Marcus said out loud, forgetting that they found verbal speech crude and primitive. He quickly adjusted his device and tried again. This time it worked, showing the proper blue greeting pattern. The lead Velthari, who wore robes that seemed to be made of woven starlight, flickered a pattern that Marcus's translator told him meant, "We forgive the mistake, honored guest. I am Chancellor Velthion. The princess awaits you in the sacred gardens." Marcus nodded and followed them through the crystal city. Buildings rose around him like frozen waterfalls, their surfaces reflecting light in impossible ways. Velthari citizens stopped to watch him pass, their skin showing curious yellow patterns. Some children, at least. He thought they were children based on their smaller size, pointed at him with tiny fingers that glowed like fireflies. The sacred gardens were at the heart of the city. As they approached the entrance, Marcus saw why. They were considered sacred. The garden was alive with color and movement. Every plant seemed to pulse with its own inner light. Flowers bloomed and closed in slow rhythm, like the breathing of some vast, peaceful creature. Streams of liquid crystal wound between the plants, singing soft melodies as they flowed. "The princess approaches," Chancellor Velthion announced, his skin showing formal patterns of respect. Marcus looked up to see her coming down a path made of living wood. Princess Lyrale was taller than the other Velthari, with skin that seemed to shift between green and silver like sunlight on water. Her hair, if it could be called hair, was made of thin crystal, strands that chimed softly as she moved. She wore a gown that looked like it was woven from flower petals and morning mist. But what caught Marcus's attention most were her eyes. They were large and dark, like deep forest pools, and they held an intelligence and curiosity that reminded him of human expressions. When she looked at him, he felt like she was truly seeing him, not just studying him like a strange creature. Princess Lyrale's skin flickered with a complex pattern that his translator interpreted as, "Welcome, Earth-human Marcus Chen. I am Princess Lyrale, keeper of the sacred gardens and student of botanical sciences. My father, the Emperor, has asked me to show you the beauty of our world." Marcus activated his device to respond, but again something went wrong. Instead of showing the proper formal greeting, it displayed a random mixture of colors that probably meant something embarrassing. He could see some of the other Velthri trying not to show amusement. Their skin was flickering, with the faint gold color that meant suppressed laughter. "I apologize, Your Highness," Marcus said aloud, his face turning red with embarrassment. "I'm still learning your beautiful language. I'm afraid I'm not very good with the light patterns yet." Princess Lyrale tilted her head, studying him with those dark eyes. Her skin showed a pattern he did not recognize, swirls of soft pink and white that his translator could not interpret. She gestured for him to follow her deeper into the garden. They walked together along paths of smooth crystal, past fountains that shot streams of colored light into the air instead of water. The princess showed him plants that could think, flowers that could sing, and trees that stored memories in their crystal bark. Everything was wonderful and strange and beautiful. They stopped at a circular clearing where the most magnificent flowers Marcus had ever seen were growing. They were tall as trees, with petals that shifted through every color imaginable. As he watched, the flowers seemed to sense his presence and began to change their colors to match his emotions. "These are the crown blossoms," Princess Lyrale explained through light patterns. "They are the most precious flowers in our world. They show the true heart of whoever looks upon them. See how they change color? They are reading your spirit, human Marcus." Marcus stared at the incredible flowers as they swirled through blues and greens and warm golds. They were the most beautiful things he had ever seen. But as he looked at them, then at the princess standing beside them, he realized something. The flowers were beautiful, yes, but the princess, with her graceful movements, her intelligent eyes, her genuine curiosity about his strange human ways, she was more beautiful than any flower could ever be. Without thinking, without remembering diplomatic protocol or cultural differences, Marcus turned to her and spoke from his heart. "You're more beautiful than those flowers," he said simply. Princess Lyrale's skin suddenly blazed with light, patterns of silver and rose and gold that danced across her arms and face like sunrise breaking through clouds. Her large eyes went wide with surprise, and for the first time since he had met her, she seemed to forget all about royal dignity and proper behavior. She could not stop the smile that spread across her face, a wonderfully human expression that looked strange and lovely on her alien features. The next morning, Marcus was summoned to the Emperor's throne room. The massive chamber was carved from a single piece of living crystal that pulsed with soft rainbow light. Emperor Valdres sat on a throne that looked like it had grown from the floor itself, his ancient skin showing patterns of deep wisdom and authority. General Lysarian stood beside the throne, his skin flickering with barely contained satisfaction. Around the room, dozens of Velthri nobles watched with curious and worried expressions. "Marcus Chen of Earth," the Emperor said through formal light patterns, "it has come to our attention that your presence here has caused disturbances." Marcus felt his heart sink. He activated his translation device carefully. "Your Majesty, if I have offended anyone, it was not intentional. I only wish to build friendship between our peoples." General Lysarian stepped forward, his skin blazing with accusatory red patterns. "You have infected our princess with your chaotic human emotions. She displays unauthorized patterns. She speaks with primitive word sounds. She neglects her duties to the state for personal desires." "That's not true," Marcus began. But the general continued, "Furthermore, your diplomatic mission has been a failure. You cannot even operate our basic communication devices properly. How can we trust a species that cannot master simple technology?" The Emperor's skin showed thoughtful yellow patterns. "General Lysarian raises valid concerns. However, we believe in fairness, Marcus Chen. We will give you one final opportunity to prove that humanity is worthy of alliance with the Velthri Empire. I'll do whatever it takes, Your Majesty," Marcus said, though he felt nervous about what they might ask. "You will undergo the test of botanical harmony, the Emperor announced. In our sacred history, any species seeking true alliance must prove their worth by bonding with a mind flower. This ancient plant can sense the deepest intentions of any being. If your heart is pure and your goals are honest, the mind flower will bloom for you. If not, the flower will reject you, and all negotiations will end. General Thessarian finished, his skin showing cruel satisfaction. No alien species has ever passed this test. The mind flower sees through all deception and political games. Marcus swallowed hard. When does the test begin? Now, the Emperor said. You have 3 days. The mind flower waits in the chamber of truth. Princess Lyrale, who had been standing silently among the other nobles, stepped forward. Her skin showed patterns of protest and concern. Father, surely this test is too harsh. The human ambassador has shown nothing but good intentions. The princess's judgment is compromised. General Thessarian said quickly. She has been contaminated by human emotionality. Her opinion cannot be trusted. The Emperor's skin flickered with sadness as he looked at his daughter. I am sorry, my child, but the general speaks wisdom. You will not be permitted to assist or advise the human during this test. Guards will ensure you do not interfere. Marcus saw the pain in Princess Lyrale's dark eyes. He wanted to comfort her, but he knew any word from him would only make things worse for her. The Chamber of Truth was a small, circular room deep beneath the palace. In the center grew a single plant unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. The mind flower was about 3 feet tall, with a thick silver stem and closed buds that seemed to shimmer with inner light. The air around it felt heavy with ancient power. The mind flower has existed for 10,000 years, explained the elderly keeper who brought Marcus to the chamber. It has rejected every alien species that sought alliance with us. The Zephyrians were too aggressive. The crystalline collective was too cold and calculating. The hegemony of worlds was too deceptive. All failed because they approached the flower with hidden agendas and political motives. Marcus was left alone. With the plant, he had 3 days to make it bloom, or his mission would fail and any hope of alliance between Earth and the Veilthree would be lost forever. For the first day, Marcus tried a scientific approach. He studied the plant carefully, taking measurements and observations. He researched everything he could find about mind flowers in the palace library. He learned that they were telepathic plants that could sense emotions and intentions. They responded only to beings with completely pure hearts and honest motives. But no matter what Marcus tried, the mind flower remained closed and unresponsive. Its buds stayed tightly shut, showing no sign of life or interest. On the second day, Marcus tried a diplomatic approach. He spoke to the plant as if it were a Veilthree official, using his translation device to create formal light patterns. He explained Earth's need for allies, their desire for peaceful trade, and the benefits both species could gain from cooperation. Still, the mind flower showed no response. If anything, it seemed to withdraw further into itself. Marcus began to panic. He had failed at every diplomatic meeting. His translation device never worked properly. He had accidentally caused cultural incidents. Now he was going to fail this final test too, and it would all be over. By the evening of the second day, Marcus felt exhausted and defeated. He sat on the floor beside the silent plant, his head in his hands. I don't know what you want from me, he said out loud, forgetting about light patterns and translation devices. I'm not a perfect diplomat. I'm not good with your technology. I make mistakes all the time. The mind flower's stem seemed to quiver slightly, but Marcus didn't notice. But I really do want our peoples to be friends, he continued, his voice getting stronger. Humans aren't perfect. We're emotional and messy, and we don't always do things the right way. But we care about others. We want to help. We want to learn. One of the mind flower's buds began to glow faintly. I've learned so much from Princess Lyrale, Marcus said, his heart filling with warmth as he thought about her. She's shown me how beautiful your world is, how wise your people are. She's taught me that there are different ways to communicate, different ways to connect with others. More buds began to glow, their light growing brighter. I know I'm not the diplomat you expected, Marcus continued, speaking directly from his heart. I can't make fancy light patterns or give smooth political speeches, but I can promise you this, if you give humans a chance, we'll be the most loyal friends you've ever had. We'll learn from you, and maybe we can teach you a few things too. The mind flower suddenly blazed with brilliant light. All of its buds opened at once, revealing flowers of every color imaginable. The petals swirled and danced, creating patterns that Marcus's translator told him meant truth speaker, bridge builder, and friend of hearts. The ancient plant had finally found what it had been waiting 10,000 years to discover. Someone who approached it not with calculated political goals, but with simple, honest emotion and genuine desire for friendship. When the keeper returned the next morning, he found Marcus sitting peacefully beside the fully bloomed mind flower, both of them glowing with soft, happy light. The test was complete, and for the first time in Velthari history, an alien species had passed. The days following Marcus's first meeting with Princess Lyrale were filled with formal diplomatic meetings. He sat in crystal chambers with Velthari officials, trying to discuss trade agreements and cultural exchange programs, but his mind kept drifting back to the moment in the garden when the princess had smiled at his simple, honest words. The official meetings were not going well. Every time Marcus tried to explain human customs or Earth's needs, his light device would malfunction, or he would accidentally say something that confused the Velthari Council members. They spoke in rapid flashes of colored light that made his head hurt trying to follow along. The Earth human does not understand our ways, said Chancellor Velthian during one particularly difficult session. His skin showed patterns of yellow and orange that meant concern and doubt. Perhaps this alliance is not meant to be. Marcus felt frustrated. He knew humans had so much to offer, their creativity, their determination, their ability to solve problems in new ways. But he could not find the right light patterns to explain it. The translation device felt like a wall between him and the people he was trying to reach. After another failed meeting, Marcus was walking alone through the crystal corridors of the palace when he heard a soft chimming sound behind him. He turned to see Princess Lyrale approaching, her crystal hair making gentle music as she moved. You seem troubled, Marcus Chen, she said through light patterns. But then she did something unexpected. She spoke a few words aloud and heavily. Accented English. Is this correct? I have been learning. Marcus's eyes widened in surprise. You've been learning to speak with words? But I thought your people considered verbal language to be primitive. Princess Lyrale's skin flickered with embarrassment, soft pink patterns that she tried to hide. I was curious about your way of communication. There is something about your words that our light language cannot capture. Something warmer. Would you like me to teach you more? Marcus asked hopefully. The princess looked around nervously, as if checking to make sure no one was watching. Then she nodded. From that day forward, they began meeting in secret. Marcus would find quiet corners of the vast palace or hidden spots in the gardens where they could practice together. He taught her English words and phrases, while she helped him understand the subtle meanings behind different light patterns. Your language has something we call metaphors, Marcus explained one evening as they sat beside a fountain of liquid starlight. When I said you were more beautiful than the flowers, I was not just comparing your appearance. I was saying that you made me feel something that even the most beautiful things in nature could not. Princess Lyrale's skin glowed with fascination. Our light language is very precise. We say exactly what we mean, nothing more. But your words, they carry feelings inside them. Exactly, Marcus said excitedly. When humans say my heart is singing, we don't mean our heart is actually making music. We mean we feel so happy that it's like there's music inside us. The princess tried to repeat the phrase, her voice soft and musical. My heart is singing. Yes, I think I understand. When you first spoke to me in the garden, my heart was singing too. As the days passed, their secret meetings became the part of Marcus's day he looked forward to most. Princess Lyrale was incredibly intelligent and eager to learn. She asked him about human poetry, music, and art. In return, she taught him about Velthari history and the deep connection her people felt with all living things, but they were not the only ones taking notice of each other. General Thessarion was the emperor's military advisor and the leader of a group of Velthri, who believed their species was superior to all others. He had opposed the idea of an alliance with humans from the beginning. Now he watched with growing anger as the princess spent more and more time with the human diplomat. She is being corrupted, General Thessarion told his followers during a secret meeting in the palace's military wing. His skin showed dark red patterns of anger and disgust. The human's primitive emotions are infecting her mind. Soon she will be more beast than Velthri. What do you suggest we do? Asked Commander Zelphus, his second in command. We must show the Emperor that humans are dangerous, that their chaotic emotions make them unfit to be our allies, General. Thessarion replied. His skin flickered with cunning yellow patterns. I have a plan. Meanwhile, Princess Lyrale was experiencing changes she did not fully understand. For her entire life, she had communicated through the efficient, controlled light patterns of her people. Every emotion was measured and appropriate. Every thought was shared with the collective good in mind. But now, as she learned human ways of expression, she found herself having feelings that did not fit into neat light patterns. She felt excitement when she thought about her next lesson with Marcus. She felt disappointment when diplomatic duties kept them apart. She felt something warm and fluttering in her chest when he smiled at her progress with English words. These personal emotions were confusing and frightening, but also wonderful. For the first time in her life, she felt like an individual rather than just a part of Velthri society. One evening, as she prepared for sleep in her crystal chambers, Princess Lyrale's personal attendant, Mirana, approached her with concern. Your Highness, Mirana said through worried orange light patterns, the court is talking. Your skin has been showing unauthorized patterns lately, colors that indicate personal desire rather than collective harmony. The advisors are concerned, Princess. Lyrale looked at her reflection in a mirror made of polished crystal. It was true. Her natural glow had changed. Instead of the steady, controlled light that proper Velthri maintained, her skin flickered with spontaneous patterns that reflected her inner thoughts and feelings. Is it wrong to feel these things, Mirana? The princess asked her attendants. Skin showed confusion. I do not know, Your Highness. These patterns have not been seen in our people for many generations. Some say they are signs of madness. Others whisper that they are what our ancestors felt before we learned to control our emotions for the good of society. That night, Princess Lyrale could not sleep. She stood on her balcony, looking out at the crystal city below. In the distance, she could see the building where Marcus was staying. She wondered if he was looking up at the stars, thinking about home. She wondered if he felt the same confusing mixture of happiness and fear that she felt. She raised her hand and let her skin glow freely, without trying to control the patterns. Colors danced across her palm, silver for curiosity, gold for joy, soft pink for something she could not name, but that made her heart feel warm and full. For the first time in her life, Princess Lyrale was not afraid of her own feelings, thanks to Marcus. She was beginning to understand that emotions were not something to be controlled and hidden. They were something to be celebrated and shared. But she did not know that General Thessarion's spies were watching from the shadows, recording every unauthorized light pattern she displayed. Her journey toward emotional freedom was about to become much more dangerous. The news of Marcus's success with the Mind Flower spread through the Crystal City like wildfire. For the first time in 10,000 years, an alien had passed the test of botanical harmony. The ancient plant's acceptance of the human diplomat sent shockwaves through Velthri society. In the palace's great hall, young Velthri gathered in excited groups, their skin flickering with patterns of amazement and curiosity. They whispered among themselves, some in traditional light language, but others experimenting with the verbal sounds they had heard the human use. Did you hear? Said Kelvin, a young botanist who worked in the palace gardens. He spoke the words, aloud in careful English, having secretly practiced after watching Marcus. The Mind Flower bloomed for him because he spoke from his heart. My heart feels the singing, added Lissa, a palace musician. trying to use the human metaphor that Princess Lyrale had shared with her friends. I want to learn this word speaking, too. But not everyone was pleased with these developments. General Thessarian paced angrily in his private chambers, his skin blazing with furious red patterns. Commander Zelthus and several other military officers stood around him, their own skin showing colors of confusion and concern. This is a disaster, General Thessarian declared. The human success has made him a hero to our young people. They are abandoning our pure traditions for his primitive emotional displays. What can we do, General? Asked Commander Zelthus. The Emperor has declared the test valid. The alliance will proceed. General Thessarian's skin darkened to deep crimson. Then we must take action before our entire civilization is corrupted. We cannot allow these human emotions to spread like a disease through our society. You mean, Commander Zelthus hesitated. I mean we take control. We remove the Emperor from power and place someone more suitable on the throne. Someone who understands the danger these humans represent. The other officers exchanged worried glances. What General Thessarian was suggesting was treason, the highest crime in Velthari society. And what of Princess Lyrale? Asked another officer. She has been completely infected by human ways. She will be married to Commander Zelthus immediately, General Thessarian announced. A traditional bonding ceremony that will restore her proper place in society. Once she is bound by marriage duty, she will forget these foolish human ideas. Meanwhile, Princess Lyrale was in the sacred gardens with Marcus, celebrating his incredible achievement. They sat together beside the fountain of liquid starlight, and for the first time, she felt free to express her joy openly. You did something impossible, she said in English, her voice filled with wonder. The stories say the Mind Flower could read the souls of all beings. It found truth in your heart that no other alien species possessed. Marcus smiled. I think it responded to something very human. Our ability to be honest about our feelings, even when we're scared or uncertain. I have been thinking about that, Princess Lyrale said. Her skin showed patterns of excitement and determination. My people have spent so many generations controlling our emotions, hiding our individual feelings for the good of society. But maybe we have lost something important. What do you mean? Watch, she said. Princess Lyrale stood up and began to demonstrate something new. Instead of the controlled, formal light patterns of traditional Velthari communication, she let her skin glow freely with her genuine emotions. Waves of silver and gold danced across her arms, mixed with swirls of pink and blue that seemed to pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat. I am creating a new way to communicate, she explained. Light patterns that carry not just information, but real feelings, like your human words do. Marcus watched in amazement as her skin told a story, not just facts, but the emotions behind them. He could see her joy at his success, her excitement about the future, and something deeper that made his own heart beat faster. It's beautiful, he whispered. Their peaceful moment was interrupted by the sound of running footsteps. Marana, the princess's attendant, rushed into the garden with her skin flashing urgent orange warnings. Your Highness, she called out, General Thessarian has seized the palace. He claims the Emperor is unfit to rule because he allowed human corruption to spread. The royal guard has been arrested. Princess Lyrale's skin blazed with shock and anger. What? How dare he? There's more, Marana continued breathlessly. He has declared that you will be married to Commander Zelthus tonight. In a traditional bonding ceremony, he says it will cure you of human emotional infection. Never, Princess Lyrale declared, her skin showing fierce patterns of defiance. I will not be forced into marriage to satisfy his political schemes. Marcus felt anger building in his chest. We have to stop him. Where's your father? Is he safe? General Thessarian has him confined to his chambers under guard, Marana replied. He claims the Emperor is too weak to resist human influence. Princess Lyrale turned to Marcus, her dark eyes blazing with determination. We must fight back, but we cannot do it with weapons or violence. That would only prove Thessarian's point about dangerous emotions. Then how? Marcus asked. A slow smile spread across Princess Lyrale's face, with the very thing he fears most, the power of authentic emotion and free expression. Over the next few hours, Princess Lyrale and Marcus worked together to spread word throughout the Crystal City. They used both Veil-3 light patterns and human speech to communicate with the younger generation who had been inspired by Marcus's success with the Mind Flower. The message was simple: gather in the sacred gardens at sunset for a demonstration of the new way of communication that Princess Lyrale had discovered. By evening, hundreds of young Veil-3 had assembled in the gardens. They came quietly, avoiding General Thessarian's patrols. Drawn by curiosity and hope for something new, Princess Lyrale stood before them, with Marcus at her side. Her skin glowed not with formal court patterns, but with the free-flowing emotions she had learned from human expression. "My friends," she said, speaking both in light patterns and aloud in Veil-3 and English, "we have been told that emotions are dangerous, that individual feelings threaten our society. But I have learned something different." She demonstrated her new form of communication, light patterns that carried genuine emotion, that told stories of personal experience rather than just official information. The gathered young Veil-3 watched in fascination as colors danced across her skin in ways they had never seen before. "This is what we could become," she continued, "not abandoning our traditions, but growing beyond them, taking the best of both our worlds, Veil-3 wisdom and harmony, combined with human emotional authenticity and individual expression." The crowd began to murmur with excitement. Some of the braver young people started experimenting with their own skin patterns, letting their personal feelings show instead of hiding them. But their peaceful gathering was suddenly interrupted by the arrival of General Thessarian and his soldiers. The general's skin blazed with fury as he saw the emotional displays happening around him. "Enough," he declared through harsh red light patterns. "This gathering is illegal. You are all contaminated by human corruption." He pointed at Princess Lyrale with a glowing finger. "And you, Princess, come with us now. Your marriage ceremony begins immediately." The soldiers moved forward to surround them, their weapons glowing with threatening energy. The young Veil-3 in the crowd looked frightened, their experimental, emotional patterns fading back to neutral colors. But Princess Lyrale did not back down. Her skin blazed even brighter with defiant patterns of courage and determination. "No, General Thessarian," she said clearly, "I will not be silenced, and neither will they." She turned to address the crowd, her voice carrying across the entire garden. "We have a choice. My friends, we can return to the old ways of hiding our feelings and suppressing our individual selves. Or we can embrace something new, a future where both wisdom and emotion, both tradition and growth, can exist together." The moment of truth had arrived. The revolution of hearts was about to begin. For a moment, silence filled the sacred gardens. General Thessarian's soldiers stood ready with their energy weapons, while hundreds of young Veil-3 looked back and forth between their princess and the military leader who threatened her. Then, something beautiful began to happen. One young botanist in the crowd let his skin glow with brave golden patterns. "I stand with Princess Lyrale," he said aloud in careful English, then repeated it in traditional light language. A palace musician stepped forward next, her skin showing silver patterns of determination. "We will not go back to hiding our hearts," she declared. One by one, more young Veil-3 joined them. Their skin began to glow with the new emotional patterns that Princess Lyrale had shown them, not the controlled, formal displays of traditional society, but honest expressions of their individual feelings and thoughts. General Thessarian's skin blazed with rage. "You are all traitors to Veil-3 tradition. Soldiers, arrest them all." But as the soldiers moved forward, something unexpected happened. Many of them hesitated, their skin flickering with uncertainty. These young guards had grown up with the same rigid traditions as everyone else, but they too had been touched by the possibility of emotional freedom. I cannot," said one young soldier, lowering his weapon. "My sister is in that crowd. She looks happier than I have ever seen her." "Coward," General Thessarian snarled. "Fine, I will handle this myself." He raised his own energy weapon and pointed it directly at Marcus. "This ends now," human. Your corruption of our society stops today. Princess Lyrale stepped between them. Without fear, her skin blazed with protective patterns so bright they lit up the entire garden. If you want to hurt him, you will have to go through me first, gladly. General Viserion said coldly, your father should have arranged your marriage years ago instead of letting you develop these dangerous individual thoughts. But before he could fire his weapon, a new voice rang out across the garden. That is enough. General, everyone turned to see Emperor Valdris walking into the garden. Flanked by loyal palace guards, the elderly ruler's skin showed patterns of deep sadness mixed with quiet strength. Your Majesty, General Viserion said, his skin flickering with surprise. How did you escape your chambers? I did not escape, the Emperor replied calmly. I was freed by members of my own guard who remained loyal to their true emperor. Rather than to your fear-based rebellion, the Emperor walked slowly through the crowd of young Velthri, studying their glowing faces with ancient, wise eyes. I have lived for over 300 years, he said. I have seen our society grow strong through tradition and order, but I have also seen it grow stagnant. He stopped beside his daughter, placing a loving hand on her shoulder. When I was young, before we learned to suppress all individual emotion, Velthri used to glow with feelings much like what I see here tonight. We were not weaker then. We were more alive. General Viserion's skin showed patterns of desperate anger. Your Majesty, you cannot mean to allow this corruption to continue. These humans will destroy everything we have built. Emperor Valdris turned to look at Marcus, who had remained quietly beside Princess Lyrale throughout the confrontation. Tell me, human Marcus, what do you see when you look at my people tonight? Marcus looked around at the young Velthri, their skin glowing with hope and excitement and honest emotion. I see people who are discovering that they don't have to choose between wisdom and feeling, between tradition and growth. I see the possibility of something beautiful, a society that honors its past while embracing its future. And what do you offer in return for this gift of emotional awakening? Everything we have. Marcus replied honestly. Human loyalty, human creativity, human determination to protect the people we care about. We're not perfect, Your Majesty. We make mistakes, and we sometimes let our emotions lead us into trouble. But we also know how to love deeply, how to sacrifice for others, and how to never give up on the things that matter. The Emperor nodded slowly. General Viserion, you were correct about one thing. These humans will change us. But change is not always corruption. Sometimes it is growth. He raised his voice so all could hear. I declare this rebellion ended. General Viserion, you are relieved of your command. Any soldiers who wish to remain in service to the crown may do so, but only if they swear loyalty to our new path forward. Most of the soldiers immediately laid down their weapons and knelt in submission to their emperor. General Viserion found himself alone, his supporters melting away like ice in sunlight. This is not over, he said bitterly, but his skin showed the gray patterns of defeat. You will see, these emotions will tear your empire apart. Perhaps, the emperor said peacefully, or perhaps they will make us stronger than we ever imagined. Guards, escort the former general to a comfortable retirement far from the capital. As this Viserion was led away, the crowd of young Velthri erupted in celebration. Their skin blazed with joy and relief, creating a light show more beautiful than any formal court ceremony. Princess Lyrale turned to Marcus, her dark eyes shining with happiness. We did it, she said. We really did it. You did it, Marcus corrected her. You showed your people that they could honor their traditions while still growing beyond them. The emperor approached them both, his skin showing patterns of paternal affection. Marcus Chen of Earth, I believe our negotiations can now proceed in earnest. But first, I think there is another matter to discuss. He looked meaningfully between Marcus and his daughter, whose skin was glowing with patterns that even a human could recognize as love. Father, Princess Lyrale began, her skin flickering with nervous hope. My dear daughter, the emperor said gently, I have watched you bloom like the flowers in your garden. If this human makes your heart sing, as I believe you would say in his language, then you have my blessing. 6 months later, the Sacred Gardens hosted a celebration unlike any in Velthri history. Humans and Velthri worked together to create a wedding ceremony that honored both cultures. Earth flowers grew alongside Velthri crystal plants, their different beauties complementing each other perfectly. Marcus stood in the garden where he had first met Princess Lyrale, wearing robes that had been woven from both human silk and Velthri starlight fibers. Princess Lyrale approached him down an aisle lined with crown blossoms, her skin glowing with patterns of pure joy. As they spoke their vows, he in English and light patterns, she in Velthri song and human words, the mind flower nearby pulsed with approval. The ancient plant had not only witnessed the first successful alliance between species, but the birth of something even more precious, a love that transcended the boundaries between worlds. The human diplomatic team had grown to include cultural exchange students, artists, and scientists from both worlds. Young Velthri learned human music and poetry, while humans studied the deep harmony with nature that Velthri wisdom offered. In the palace gardens, a new section had been created where earth roses grew intertwined with Velthri crystal vines. The flowers there were unlike anything seen on either world, hybrids that combined the passionate beauty of human nature with the elegant grace of Velthri design. As Marcus and Princess Lyrale danced together at their wedding celebration, surrounded by friends from two worlds, the garden around them seemed to pulse with life and possibility. "You were right, you know," Princess Lyrale whispered to her new husband as they swayed to music that blended human instruments with Velthri light harmonies. "About what?" Marcus asked. She smiled, her skin glowing with patterns that no pure Velthri had ever displayed, colors that could only exist when two different kinds of beauty learned to grow together. "I am more beautiful than those flowers," she said, "but only because you taught me that beauty comes from being true to what's in your heart." Around them, the garden bloomed with flowers from two worlds, proving that the most beautiful things happen when different forms of life learn to grow together in harmony.